Mercedes' technical director has denied rumours of a Plan B car in the works if the Silver Arrow Zero Pod concept fails again this season. So much more was revealed in the press conference that was held a few days back. What exciting things did they unveil this time? Watch the complete video to find out more. Lewis Hamilton capped off the pre-season with a P2 on Saturday's timesheet in Bahrain, and with porpoising all but eliminated on the W14, Mercedes appear much more at ease than a year ago. The secure run-out of the 2023 machine was not without incident. Day 2 was a disaster, with Hamilton sliding around the track as his downforce failed him. Russell completed only 26 laps before a hydraulics failure cut his session short, bringing out the red flags. Despite Hamilton calling the 2022 car one of the worst he's driven in F1, Mercedes has stuck with their zero-pod design from the W13. The Brackley engineers believed the concept was not to blame for the porpoising, so they gave it one more go. I believe they have a Plan B in production, and if they need to, they can go to a Plan B, which is the Red Bull or Ferrari style of doing things in the middle of the season, Sky Sports' Ted Kravitz said on Friday. Kravitz sought clarification from Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott, who told Sky Sports, "So there is a bodywork coming. It will look different. It will not resemble anyone else's, rather it will resemble our own evolution. That is on the way." When asked if Merc will abandon their own concepts in favour of something more akin to Red Bull's title-winning design, Elliott replied, "It's not in our current plans." While Red Bull emerged as the red-hot championship favourites after the 3-day test in Bahrain, challengers Ferrari and Mercedes remain a mystery. Few pundits and F1 personalities expect the top 3 from last season to be challenged in 2023. However, Sky commentator David Croft speculated that the charging Aston Martin team and star driver Fernando Alonso could be faster. Each team probably held back varying amounts of their true top speed last week to keep their competitors a secret. "We're probably not running the front wing, we'll run when we come racing," Elliott confirmed. He also hinted that Mercedes was testing with a little extra ballast on their car, but that come race day, they would be right on the 798 kilo weight limit. Some teams were happier than others as F1 2023 pre-season testing wrapped up on Saturday ahead of the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix next weekend. But who has the most work to do before the first practice session, which is only 5 days away? We must emphasize that this is not an attempt to predict the competitive order, but rather an assessment of who had a good test and who did not. McLaren completed the fewest laps of any team during testing with a total of 311 laps, leaving them 42 laps behind Alpine. The wheel brows were the most problematic component for McLaren, with talk of overheating brakes melting the inside of the brows, bringing back memories of the team's chronic brake issues in Bahrain a year ago. However, the issues with the first MCL60 iteration appeared to go far beyond that, with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri struggling to bend the car to their will, and McLaren's dissatisfaction with their winter's work leaking into the test. What's the good news? Mercedes firmly grips the porpoising issue that hampered their 2022 season. What's the bad news? The car still does not appear to be a Red Bull beater. That contradicts the team's narrative throughout last year. If only the team could have found a way to eliminate the bouncing, the W13 would have won and dominated. Did Mercedes' time spent trying to solve their 2022 problems allow Red Bull to escape their grasp? Mercedes, which had been at the top of the testing mileage charts throughout the hybrid era, finished 7th with 398 laps in 2023, a figure hampered by the hydraulic problem that forced George Russell to miss the final 90 minutes of day 2. In the eye test, Mercedes also struggled for traction at times, with Lewis Hamilton's fastest time on the final day more than 0.3 slower than the Red Bull despite using the faster C5 tyre. Williams had a better pre-season than last year, but 2022 couldn't have been much worse. The James Vowles era got off to an efficient start with the second highest number of laps completed, 439, and at first glance the FW45 has addressed enough of its predecessor's vices for Williams, on the right day and in the right hands, to attach themselves to the back of the midfield battle. The surprise name at the top of the lap charts, 456, was AlphaTauri, but what does that really mean in a compressed testing schedule where any lost time for whatever reason would send a team dramatically down the order? To demonstrate, only 29 laps separated Ferrari in 3rd and Aston Martin in 8th. A medal for first place in the mileage competition is no longer valid. AlphaTauri finished in the top 6 on 2 of the 3 days, but given that almost every other team's challenger turned sharper than last year's car, the eye test was especially important in this case. With Netflix star Guenther Steiner reaffirming his status as F1's FOC hero for another year, attention returned to more serious issues in Bahrain. Haas's test mirrored their driver lineup, solid and steady, and lacked the buzz of last year's Bahrain test when the team realised the car was actually race-ready. What should we think of Ferrari and Bahrain? The SF23 does not appear to have taken a step back from 2022, but there is also no significant leap forward. And why should it be when the car, no matter how good it looks, adheres to the same low-drag design philosophy as last year? Even though Charles Leclerc's verdict is that the car is faster on the straights but slower through the corners, whispers of severe tyre degradation hint at a similar theme to last year. Alpine never bothered the timesheets during testing, with Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon instead quietly going about their business on the harder tyres. A quiet test by normal standards alarmed some, but given that the team remained quietly confident even when the car was engulfed in flames this time last year, and was fully vindicated with their best season in years, there is no reason to doubt them now. Even though the Alpine was the only car to go slower than in the 2022 Bahrain test and logged the second fewest laps, this is a team that is going into the first race with quiet confidence, with both drivers speaking positively about the A523. Alfa Romeo scored many of their points in the first few months of 2022, and early indications suggest they may do so again. Valtteri Bottas caused one of the few red flags of testing by stopping with an engine problem shortly before lunch on the final day, but the C43 emerged as a quick, well-balanced car. Zhao Guanyu's table-topping time on day 2 drew attention, but beneath the headline lap is a car that appears to have eliminated Alfa's biggest weakness from last year: instability in fast corners. Don't be surprised if the Alfa returns to the track in Bahrain. With Lance Stroll ruled out due to injury, Fernando Alonso took charge of Aston Martin's running and was in the car for all 3 evening sessions, making the most of the best conditions ahead of the season opener. That left Felipe Drugovich, Stroll's potential replacement for the Bahrain Grand Prix, in daylight with only 117 laps completed. Not ideal, but when the season begins next weekend, all eyes will be on Alonso in what is already shaping up to be one of the great stories of 2023. With the quick and compliant AMR23 translating the exciting numbers from the wind tunnel to the track, testing provided the first proper glimpse of the real Aston Martin. The mean, lean operation Stroll's father Lawrence envisioned when he rebranded the Silverstone team 2 years ago. In the midst of all the talk about Ferrari and Mercedes closing the gap on Red Bull over the winter, few seem to consider that the bar would be raised even higher in 2023. Yet that, on this evidence, is what has happened. The RB19 proving to be an enhanced, more refined, and lighter evolution of last year's dominant championship-winning car. The car simply oozed pace, topping the timesheets on 2 of the 3 days in Bahrain, with Max Verstappen so satisfied that he left the entire final day of running, the time for the best conditions and fastest laps, to Perez. Nothing seemed to encapsulate better Red Bull's confidence, which begins the year as a solid favourite for a reason. Thanks for watching. If you want us to make more content like this, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and put your video suggestions in the comment section.